I met a stalker named Gary when I was having lunch with two freedomers. They were surprisingly chill, but that one guy with very red eyes kept trying to give me some weed. Gary is what the local stalkers call as guides. As the name suggests, they guide stalkers through dangerous regions and areas safely in exchange for money. I asked him if there's a reliable way of escaping the zone, to which he replied, yes, there is a way. But unfortunately for me, there's some kind of sci-fi blocking the path, and the second route would have been too dangerous even for someone like him to cross. But not all hope is lost. He told me that the egghead said that the sci-fi was turned off before. If it was done in the past, who would say that it wouldn't happen again in the future? In the meantime, I should focus on acquiring better gear for myself. But just as I was about to go out and see if the ecologist has some more work to do, I felt a terrible premonition wash over me from the horizon. Many stalkers that was in the building felt the same and rushed toward the basement of the train station. 10 minutes later, I learned the reason why. At first, I thought it was a terrible storm brewing, but the exodus of the stalkers to the basement beneath warned me of something worse. Then, it struck me. It was an emission. My first emission. An earthquake, gentle at first, rose to unprecedented magnitude, heralded by a deafening rushing wind, akin to the noise heard in the middle of a tornado. But what makes this emission far more devastating than any natural disaster back home was the psychic terror that rode on the coattails of the storm. Horrible whispers from ethereal lips pierces my eardrums. Then, with hellish vigor, it struck my brain from within with malice and sharp pickaxes. In throes of agony from within, I cannot tell how long the torture truly lasted. But I can tell you one thing for certain. When the dust has settled and the storm has subsided, I got back on my feet, shivering and aching, yet alive and kicking. One of the stalkers that accompanied me told me that it wasn't an emission, but a psi-storm, so it is expected for first-timers to have their brains fried, even in such safe shelters. He also told me to take it easy today, cause I look absolutely terrible, even for a first-timer. I decided to heed his advice. Whatever it is, it did a number inside my skulls. Last thing I need is to be fighting both a mutant and a migrant at the same time. I just hope that when tomorrow comes, the pain will be gone, just like the morning dew at noon. Psi-storms consist of multiple vortices of anomalous psychic energy that emits little amounts of damaging psychic waves. While not as catastrophically impactful like a regular emission, it is still just as lethal and painful to endure. And seeing how fast they usually arrive, stalkers kept one eye to the sky, hoping to spot the telltale purple-pink haze that heralded the massive formation of storm clouds and pray that they are near shelter if they see the sign. In my personal experience, enduring the storm is excruciatingly painful. Felt like my brain was being excavated by imps with blunt pickaxes. Good thing they didn't break any of my electronic devices, though my camera just stopped working after that. This morning, Hawaiian asked me if I want to help him in the kitchen for a day. His usual squad has to go and deal with some issues with their main suppliers. Something about crazy monolith with RPGs being spotted too close for comfort. Seeing that I am still recovering from the storm and needed more cash, I accepted the proposal and was whisked away into the back of the kitchen after breakfast. He was kind enough to buy me breakfast at least. First order of business was cleaning the kitchen. The kitchen wasn't as big as the one back home. It's pretty small and packed, which is a good thing for me. God knows how much the lady spent on just maintaining the mansion's kitchen. Managed to finish the job in half an hour. Then it was inventory checking. He made it very clear that if I swipe anything without first jotting it down on the clipboard, he will have me run around the local anomalies field buck naked. If what Gary told me is true, his caution is warranted. Getting supplies deep into the zone in large quantities is incredibly hard as it is. It's even worse now that the brain scorcher is turned back on again. While the kitchen is small and sparsely decorated, the same cannot be said to the storeroom though. Seeing how hard is it for supplies to get inside the zone this deep, traders like Hawaiian learned to hoard stuff efficiently. Crates after crates of canned food stacked atop each other's filled half the room. Then there's several freezers, each labeled to show which one contains which item. Hawaiian made it very clear how bad it is if I accidentally mix them up together. Organic stuff gets contaminated fast, and there's more than one freezer holding things that shouldn't be contaminated at all costs. A little break from the morning rush. I handled the counter while Hawaiian is in the kitchen cooking up breakfast and lunch. Guy knows how to make a good meal out of canned food, but it is pretty pricey, so most stalkers opted to get cheaper alternatives. One very popular choice aside from canned food was Doctor's Kaya Kolbasa, or in English, Doctor's Sausage. It's thick, it's long, and very filling. It's a stalker's breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time. Put them in a stew, fry them, cook them, eat them as it is, and it will fill you up just fine. Long break. Took the time to fiddle around with my camera once again. It's Kappa Tech, so it's half technology and half black magic, or whatever the hell they worship or sacrifice to make their stuff last that long. Tried turning it off and on again. Tried taking out the SD card and putting it back in. Nothing worked. I was tempted to disassemble it, but I only have one camera and I am not going back home without some solid footage of what happened to me. Let's be honest, how many people would believe me if I said that I was transported into Chernobyl, of all places? You'll be surprised at how little they took stock on spoken testimony, even from someone like me. One of the guys suggested me to bring it to the technicians. Problem is, the fucker will charge a fortune just to polish the damn casing itself. Not like I can haggle with them. Not sure if I can find any other technicians anywhere close that is reliable enough for my money. And I'm damn sure that there's no Kappa repairman anywhere within the zone, let alone Jupiter. It will be a long time before I can afford the repair, but I will do it, come hell or high water. But before all that, I should focus on buying better gears. My respirators are completely worthless in irradiated places, and level 3 vest isn't going to cut it when everyone here is using rifles and every mutant here have razor-sharp claws and fangs. I wonder which one should I buy first, a long gun or a proper gas mask? I'll figure it out tomorrow. A group of hunters rolled in laughing while hauling a large trash bag full of fresh meat. They just bagged not only a chimera, but also 8 different boars. I don't know what a chimera is, but if the feral boars are anything like the one back in Texas, I can understand their jubilations, especially if they have bagged that much on foot with only shotguns. Rule of the house is simple. If you bring your own meat, you get a discount. If you're in a group, the whole group gets the discount. But the one who landed the killing blow decides who gets to eat, free of charge. Now, I know what you're thinking. 8 boars and a chimera, but they just brought back like only one big bag of meat? The trash bag looks like a 50-gallon to me, so I know while it is a lot, but not that enough for the numbers of animals they slaughtered. So what gives? Simple. Radiations. There's only so many parts of a mutant that isn't too irradiated to be consumed. Even then, you still need to process them even further just to make them safe enough to eat. Ordering some zone vodka after every bite. I can literally hear my Geiger counter clicking. the moment the trash bag was planted on the counter. Second reason is size. Seriously, have you ever seen how big a feral hog can get? Try hauling at least 200-pound carcass for at least a mile and a half on foot. Well, it is quite a lot, I assure you. So Hawaiian asked me to help him purify the meat. You know, I assumed that I was going to do some really hard science stuff, Put it in some kind of chamber, mixing in some hard to get chemicals. You know what I meant. Turns out, reality is stranger than fiction. You know what I ended up doing? I first put the meat in a bowl. Then, I poured an entire bottle of vodka inside the bowl and let it marinate for half an hour. Yeah, that's it. I'm just as surprised as you are. Turns out, some absolute madman from the early days of stalking somehow figured out how to make vodka that can decontaminate irradiated stuff. Guy made a killing from selling the recipe, and now there's not a single alcoholic drink in the zone that wasn't treated using his techniques. Nobody would tell me the recipe though. Trade secret, they call it. Jackass. So, after marinating the meat, Hawaiian drained the bowl and then grilled the hell out of the chimera portions. I did the same thing too with the balls. This isn't in the States anymore. Having it anything lower than well done might as well be poisonous with all the mutations that happen in the meat. Who couldn't say that the parasites and bacteria living inside the flesh remain just the same like the one back home? The smell! By God, it's amazing! The fragrance of butter, the bite of spice, the smoky, sensational scent of grilled meat. It's enough to drive lesser men to sin. Hell, it's even more than enough to drive even heroes to sin. Maybe once I manage to get home, I might throw a barbecue at the beach. No wait, the lady doesn't like beach. Maybe an indoor hot pot party? We both love hot pot. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. At the end of my shift, Hawaiian came by and paid me my fair share. 5,000 rubles to be precise. I did cover the work of at least 4 other staffs. He asked me if I'm willing to do full-time. Not many people want to work in this kind of profession deep in the zone. I would have accepted the offer if not for the payment he offered. That number was the exception, not the rule. I'm not going back to minimum wage just to barely afford feeding my old friend with bottom-of-the-barrel ammunitions. I'm not going to be disrespected for doing my job ever again. I have duties back home far more important than working in some rundown mart in the middle of Chernobyl for peanuts. Besides, is this really what I'm gonna tell my friends back home? Oh look, I woke up in a fantastically twisted version of Chernobyl, and the only thing I've done was to work in the kitchen for 6 months just to buy a cheap gun and a shitty gas mask. No, tomorrow morning, I'll go and see if there's more lucrative option out there. I might not be able to cross the Red Forest anytime soon, but that doesn't mean I can just take it easy. That kind of life isn't it for me. I'll see you tomorrow, Journal.